Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Out the Group Chat.
We're back.
Here we are. We are on our 7th episode.
The penultimate episode of season 8.
Really Come on, penultimate vocabulary.
I know. SAT word.
That's a big word for Elmo.
I'm really glad we've been able to stay consistent. We've been posting on time. We've been growing. Thank you guys for supporting us and just being a part of our little community that we're bringing. But today we are talking about a big topic. Money. The moolah. Money makes the world go round. I think we're all aware of that. And we're all individuals who have come into our careers, living our best lives. And I guess we just kind of want to discuss just the entire aspect of money, financials, and just the current state of the world and how it all works while being black. So let's get into it.
So I think that in general, the topic of money is kind of like a subject that black people or people in the black community don't really like to talk about. And so I want to know whether or not you guys in your individual families, like whether your parents actually talked about money with you or like salary or anything like that.
I'd say in my household when we were kids, no. When we're adults, yes. When we were kids, we didn't know, our parents didn't tell us about the money they made or anything like that. But we knew that we were well off just by being able to see other things, see other people. And, as a kid, you're comparing to each other or whatever. But as an adult, I definitely, my parents will actually now just tell us straight up the different financial aspects and things within our family and then imparting wisdom and stuff like that.
I would say growing up, no, but I was aware that we did not have a lot of money, at least all the time. There was a point in time where we had to live with my grandparents, but there was never a time where I felt like I wanted or needed. There was always, obviously the basic needs were met, but then I remember anytime we went on field trips in school, I was always able to go. I was really involved in band and stuff like that, which that's an expensive extracurricular. Excuse me. But I was able to participate in it, but I was aware it wasn't a easy thing where it's okay, we're just gonna,
It's kind of like a luxury.
Yeah, it was definitely a luxury. I remember thinking when I was in elementary school that a check was just that. It was oh, you can just write a check and that was the
money's gonna come.
You got things. And I remember asking my mom for stuff, and I'd be like, you can just write a check. But now, especially now that all of my siblings are older and we're all in our career, it is something that we talk about. Especially now that my dad has passed away, that has become something that is at the forefront a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it didn't extend beyond, do you have McDonald's money? I would definitely say that, echo what you guys said, where it's we didn't really talk about it when we were younger, but I feel even now within my family, it is still not a subject that anybody likes to talk about with any specificity or detail. And I realize I can say that I'm definitely in a different financial situation than most of my family. And so I make a very decent salary. And so I am very comfortable in talking about that. But I do realize how for certain people, it can be shameful sometimes to talk about how much money you make.
I'd say something similar to Élise. They didn't bring it up when we were kids. I think now we talk about it a lot more freely. Even now that I'm in my career, I think my parents are having certain conversations with me about finances and setting myself up for success that I really appreciate. As a kid, it wasn't something they shared with us, but it was just kind of a feeling okay, I can recognize that we do have money. But I think it was in a way that they still tried to keep us grounded. And that's another thing that I do appreciate about my parents. Even though we did have it, they made sure it was never in a way where I felt superior to others. But I also think, just generally speaking, this conversation about money in the Black community, I don't know. I know it's not, like you said, it's kind of taboo to talk about it a little bit. Do you think that's because a lot of us were not given the opportunity to like build wealth in a way that other people were, or there's like all these predatory practices that prevented us from doing so. And so it's not just like we don't want to talk about it. Do you think it's like we don't even fully know like how to acquire it in that way to then speak on it and like give you those tools?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think a huge factor that contributes to it being sort of like taboo or something that people don't readily talk about is the fact that for generations, Black people were kept from amassing wealth of any kind. I do think, though, it has then turned now into sort of a detrimental practice because we keep so hush-hush about it that we are not able to educate and pour into the community, whereas I feel like maybe some other communities can collectively like amass wealth because they are so open about their finances. We kind of keep everything as like, well, that's, you know, I don't know how much my grandma made in that job, or like, I don't know how much my parents make in their job. And it's kind of like this thing that it feels very like individualistic when it could be something that if we shared with each other, you know, salary transparency in general helps people lift themselves and build community. And so I think that definitely what you said, it's true that it's because we weren't allowed to build wealth. We don't know how to talk about money.
And it's
like
also,
in
we
most
don't
cases.
know, at least I should say, like, even now, I'm still learning financial literacy. And like, I feel like, you know, obviously I have a well-paying job and everything like that, but it's like, I still am paying like off a lot of like debt and this and that, but like learning how to live, but then also in background, I'm like, okay, I need to save and this and that. But also it's like, you know, I want to do fun things. I want to like travel. It's like, I want to, you know, spend time with my friends, and like that all costs money. So yeah, I think it is very tough in the Black community, because I also think that we value different things when it comes to money and how we spend it. I think that Black people, if we were to come into money, it's like, you know, a lot of times we're spending it on designer clothes, cars, you know, being very like, I don't even say flashy, but it's like nice.
Flashy is the word.
Yeah, like nice things that we've always.
What are you talking about?
Wait a minute.
What?
No, I'm saying that.
But yeah, I think that while those are nice, you know, that there's nothing wrong with that. I think that takes priority over, okay, we have this money now from wherever.
Let's use it properly.
Let's use it properly to make sure, like, you know, our kids are set up or this or that. So I think that's also something that needs to be more talked about, is like when we do have the money, how we spend it and how we set up, you know, our future generations and everything to succeed.
Exactly. I wanted to touch on that and what Jelani had said about the detriment of not talking about money, and then also because of that, how we end up spending our money. And I think it goes so many different ways, but like from my own perspective, like I had said, because we didn't talk about, this is so interesting, because we didn't talk about money directly when we were kids, but you know, me and my siblings were very aware that we had the money. And I don't know, it might just be my parents who are just like extremely like humble type people who just don't like to be boastful. It made me almost not realize, like, it kind of made me not realize that like people couldn't do the same things that I could do, if that makes sense. Because I didn't actually understand, you know, what my parents might have, and I didn't understand like the value of it. To me, it was like, oh, then, okay, so it's not like even a big, like everyone is like this. Everyone like lives like this or whatever. And I think because being overly humble about talking about money makes it so that when you get your own money, you kind of start to be just kind of like whatever, which then goes into the whole, the way we spend our money. Cause I would definitely say in high school, I did not have like a solid, proper job, anything like that, high school and college, but I spent money like I was a millionaire. I spent money on everything, and it's because I had no value to the money, if that makes sense, because no one ever really like discussed with me like this is this and this is how, and so to me I was just like, okay, yeah, whatever, and I was just like spending money until I, you know, got to the point where I was like, whoa, halt, let's step back. It was the summer that I spent like $500 on Uber, but it was my mom's Uber account, and I would just I would use her credit card and I would just spend it. And she was like, Elise, let's have a conversation. And that's when I learned.
I don't even know how this happened, but one year while I was an undergrad, somehow my mom's card got connected to my Chick-fil-A app.
Somehow.
I don't remember how, but baby, I was spending out the ass.
A likely story.
And my mom called me and she was like, "What is going on?" She was like, "I thought someone had like gotten my bank information."
Not a scammer.
And
She
she's
like
like,
pulled
she
up
was
to
like,
Chick-fil-A.
How much Chick-fil-A were you eating?
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
He was
girl,
eating Chick-fil-A.
it
He
was
was twice a
enough.
day.
Like, that's crazy.
Twice a day,
Because,
every
okay,
day.
so there was a Chick-fil-A like right on the edge of campus, like right across from like our big library and like next to like all the bars and everything like that. So it's like it was just so accessible, and we had so many Chick-fil-A's on campus as well. And my mom
So
was
many
like,
Chick-fil-A's
On campus?
yeah, we had like a lot of Chick-fil-A's on campus.
How many?
That's not normal. Why
At all.
more
We didn't have a
Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A on my campus.
Yeah, we had like
had one.
We had some.
We didn't have any fast food on our campus.
Oh, really? We had
No.
Chick-fil-A. We had Wendy's at one point. Papa John's.
Really?
We had a lot.
Papa John's is
Starbucks
crazy.
out the ass on campus. Yeah, there was a lot of.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and I didn't have a meal plan at all when I was in college. So most of my anytime I was on campus and I needed food, I would have to buy it. But I did also like cook a lot on campus. But yeah, I remember I was like, "Girl," well, she didn't say "girl," but she was like, "Cut it."
Yeah, I would say coming from the perspective of somebody who didn't grow up with a lot of money, it was really interesting as I got into adulthood and started to sort of understand, like Élise was saying, like the value of money, because I always felt like I was pretty good with money. Like I was able to sort of like save and spend and like do all of the things that I ever want. Like, I mean, I put myself like through school and like, you know, took care of housing and like everything, like phone, everything like by myself. And so it was interesting coming up and then starting to like pay for things or like try to pay for things where it's like that were sort of like considered like luxuries and like extra things, because I got really, really good at finding deals, which I still love to do now.
Baby,
like,
I love a clearance rack.
Yeah, I love to save money on purchasing anything. And even though like now, you know, like I like buy a lot of like luxury items, whatever, I still get giddy whenever I can find something that's like 50% off or like whatever. And so like, I guess like
When you got those like, what was it, $2,000 pants, but you got them for like $500 or
they
something?
were $10,000 pants
$10,000
that I got for $750.
That is crazy. That's
And
very
they
red
are
ones?
Ferragamo straight from the runway, like crystal embellished jeans. I was like,
That's when I knew it was serious
have
for
to be
Jelani.
joking. Like, and so like talking
Extreme
about
couponer.
sort of like the value of money and the perception of money, do you guys feel like now that you are in your careers that has changed like somewhat? Like now that you're making your own money, not spending your parents' money.
I feel like I think about it and appreciate it a little bit more as a kid. And even because my parents helped me all throughout college, even in law school, I think it's not that I didn't recognize the value of money or of what I was spending it on, but it was just like,
You don't feel it.
yeah,
until
it was.
It's like
it wasn't
just you.
mine.
Yes,
it wasn't mine that I was
exactly.
spending. So
Yeah.
it was kind of like a free for all, and I was just like, oh, okay, I'll do this and I'll buy that and I'll do this and I'll do that. Versus now, I'm like, ooh, these are my dollars I'm spending. Like it just feels different. But I also think as I've gotten into my own career, I've made more conscious decisions about like, okay, you have to be smart with your money.
Yeah.
Especially because I love to spend it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, if I know I want to, I don't know, get a new purse, if I want to take a trip or get a new apartment, whatever the case may be. I have a dog now. Like everything costs money. So I feel like now that I'm making my own, I'm also a little more like financially sound. Like even certain savings accounts, like do y'all got a high yield savings account?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like even little things like that, I'm like, okay, no, let me be more conscious about how much I'm putting in versus how much I'm taking out.
Yeah.
And I think that didn't happen though until literally like a year and a half ago.
I was just about to say
yeah.
to you, I did not have a high yield savings account until earlier this year, which is like crazy, but I don't know. It just
I
never
still
happened.
don't have one. I do
You
have
need to get one.
I know I need to. I do have like I don't have a 401k, but it's whatever the government one is.
Yeah.
I have like a Roth IRA.
But it's like, yeah, I have that. But like even now, like again, I'm making the most money that I've ever made. But even now, like my mom, like I still depend on her sometimes to like help me out, because also it's like, yes, I'm making a lot of money, but like I still have like a lot of like debt, if you will, that I'm paying back. Where that's like credit cards, this or that. And it's like my expenses since graduating law school has like skyrocketed. Like this is the most I've ever paid for rent, because when I was in undergrad, my housing was paid for through like scholarships and stuff like that. When I lived on campus at UCI, so it was like $900 a month or something like that. So even now, it's like I'm still learning, and it's like I am very cautious about where I spend my money and how I spend it. But at the same time, I feel like my mindset is I still want to have nice things. I still want to have fun and everything like that. So I don't necessarily restrict myself where it's like, okay, I can't go to Vegas to see Beyonce and Destiny's Child. But
Yeah, because imagine
you
if you
gotta-
told yourself no.
You have to
Hey,
spend the money.
Hey, money is temporary.
That's
Beyonce is forever.
that's what I'm saying. So it's like with stuff like that, it's like, yes, I am very cautious, but at the same time, I do not believe in limiting my joy, because also
Yeah.
right
Nor
now the
should
world
you.
is
Yeah.
hell. It's like shit. And it's
Bruh.
like I have to do something to make myself.
I need to have fun.
I need to have fun, and it costs money. But like even now, it's like, yeah, I'm still constantly learning. But I think that I am making a lot of like a lot more progress.
Yeah.
Um,
I definitely
That's
agree
good to
with that.
hear.
In the sense of one, not limiting yourself. I feel like anyone who knows me knows I'm a very like frivolous spender in terms of like I buy what I want because that's what I want.
But you save a lot. You
But
actually save
that's what
a
I was gonna
lot,
say is
yeah.
that I'm also a very like I don't think it comes off from my personality, but I'm also a very meticulous saver, because my thing is I've been accustomed to a certain lifestyle my entire life, and I refuse to not get to have that or more for the rest of my life. And so I very much operate on the idea that like money is always going to come back. And I know that's a very like that mindset is just kind of like la-di-da, because there are
But it
serious
is.
impact
It
like
is.
things.
I
and
feel like that
factors.
too. I'm like it's gonna
Yeah.
come back.
But
If
it's
I
going
need
to
it,
come
yeah.
back.
And it does, though.
If you sit around thinking that if I don't spend my money, I'm gonna keep more money, and like
Yeah.
it's not the way to live.
yeah.
And I come from a place of privilege saying that, but I'm just saying like it's not.
I
the
will
way.
also kind of piggyback off of that. Is yes, I do agree. Like at some point, the money is gonna come back, because it always has been. Even like when I was little, and like again, like I was saying, there were times when money was tight. It always came back and everything like that. But I think even now, and I think this is kind of maybe I don't want to say controversial, but people have differing opinions. I know that with my degrees, I will
Period.
always have
Plural.
a job.
Plural.
Period. So it's like, I know at the end of the day, it's like, okay,
Clock
if
that.
I really need to, I can go and get a big law job that pays $200,000 plus a year. And it's like, so it's not like I'm like so worried, but I am. It's like, I don't want to do that, but I do have that where it's like the money is going to come back, because I have set myself up. I have the infrastructure, if you will,
Exactly.
to do that.
Yeah.
You just got to play the game the way it needs to be played.
Exactly. And even I remember like, I always knew that I wanted to like go to college and everything, but I also knew that it's not like my parents could like pay for it. Like I knew that I had to work to, get scholarships and this and that. And like, even in high school, when I knew like, okay, I'm putting in a lot of work, I knew the end goal was, yes, I want to have my degrees, and yes, I want to have a good job. But at the end of the day, I want financial security, and that is what I am working towards. So I feel like now that, I am where I want to be for now in life, I can start really working towards, okay, building that financial security, like building that wealth.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree with what you're saying, especially with like financial security, which I think is harder to obtain once you have like some people end up with like significant, insane amounts of debt where it's like the ability to pay this off is actually unreasonable. And from my perspective, I also went to undergrad and came out with no debt. But then with law school was my first time being aware of like just like the debt system and like I still don't even know what the fuck is going on, but I had never had to do stuff like that. I remember my friends like talking about it, but then when I had to do it myself, the amount of times that like I fucked up or I forgot something or I like just was not aware that something was happening, it happened more than once because no one taught me. There was no like system set up, because I don't expect my parents to teach me these things. They don't know what these things are either. So there's no like system that was set up to like educate you on how these things work, on like what loans are better than others, like how to pay them off. Like I remember when I was paying, when we were paying for law school, obviously, I mean, I got a scholarship, but I was still taking out a loan to pay off the rest of it. And one of the second year of law school, I didn't know that you had to continue to like reapply for FAFSA. So I just didn't reapply and I never ended up getting the money. So I paid for my entire second year of law school just out of pocket because I didn't know what was going on and when it was going on. And my point of saying that is that even someone who is in my position, who might have the means to do so or might be in a more privileged position, sometimes just the way that like there is no attempt to actually make people fully aware of how things work is just another like predatory aspect of like money in this country, where you're forcing people into these situations where they might not have been if they were informed prior. That's all I was trying to say about that specific topic.
I think to the topic of like, you know, money's always going to come back. One thing that I will say that I'm very grateful for because of my upbringing is like, I'll make some shit shake. Like that is like one thing about it. Like I am going to figure that shit out. And like we've been saying, like, yeah, the money comes. Like whenever I actually need it, it's always there. And I'm like super grateful for that. And I think that like now that I am in a very privileged position to be making a lot of money and like able to like now like be able to start making plans for the future, it's very weird that like I notice the deficiencies or I guess like the ways in which like I wasn't getting that when I was growing up, because even now like I'm talking to my grandparents about like, you know, like forming their will. And, you know, I was not paying attention in wills and trusts, honestly. But what I do remember is like you should be like the pour over will and like the trust and like, things like that. And so I'm like talking to them like, okay, well, like you're going to have to put your house in like, you know, a trust. And so that can be for the benefit of like the grandkids and like, you can have more control over it. And like those are things that they don't even know like themselves. And, you know, like I wouldn't even say the general public knows like things like to that extent. And so it's like it's so important to be like conscious of your finances, because that is how a lot of Black families were like unable to build wealth because they didn't know. And that's how you actually lose a lot of Black wealth, is
it's
because
about access.
Grandma dies without a will, and all of a sudden everybody's fighting over where the house is going, and then nobody pays the taxes.
It's
and then
the
it's
access
like,
to the information, because when you don't grow up, you know, having the money, there's no way, unless there's no incentive to really go look into how these things work, or just like even trying to talk to a financial advisor. And it's like some financial advisors don't even want to speak to you unless you have a certain amount of money, because they have to benefit from you as well. So it's all about access and who gets to participate in these things. And a lot of Black families definitely deserve it, but I
will say that I wanted to add this story because I just thought it was really funny. And it's around now that me and Guy are talking to like a financial advisor, we were making plans like to set up, you know, like our retirement accounts and things like that. And the advisor was, and I think it's funny because I think being a Black person that makes a lot of money.
Directing it at Guy.
No. Like being a Black person that makes a lot of money is like very interesting, because I feel like it's not always perceived that way. And so we're in talks with this financial advisor, and he's like, okay, like basically, and what I say now, like I understand that people live a lot of different lifestyles. I am now accustomed to a very certain lifestyle, so I don't say the things that I'm about to say from like a pretentious, you know, like perspective. I'm merely just, you know, speaking my opinion. But he, you know, gave us the estimate. He was like, okay, so like for retirement, like I think like around $200,000 a year is gonna be good for you guys. And then I was like, you mean like combined? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, no. Yeah, I was like, oh, no, that's not enough. And he like looked at me like I was crazy. And he was like, well, where do you like basically insinuate like where do you think all this money is coming from? And I was like, oh, let me explain to you what my lockstep salary is and what it's going to look and what it's going to look like in 10 years when I make partner. And I showed it to him and I was like, oh no, it needs to be this number. And he was like, oh, how are we gonna get there? And I showed him how we were gonna get there. I was like, look, do you see this? Yeah. And he was like, oh, and like I will never forget the like look on his face of like shock when I told him like my projected like salary earnings over the course of my life. Cause I was like, if I'm only, and again, no offense to everybody, because I know a lot of people do not make this amount of money. I told this man, I was like, if by the time that I retire, which is 65, which is 40 something years from now, if our combined income is only $200,000 for the two of us, I have done wrong. Something. Yeah, something is horribly wrong. Something went awry.
40 years.
No, that's
40 years combined. No, let me not laugh. That's so crazy.
Something went wrong.
You are completely correct.
And it's not even like
no.
And I want to say it's not even like a pretentious thing. Like, oh,
I'm sorry. This is so funny.
No, it's crazy. It is crazy.
No, because combined in 40 years.
And you can, I work in Big Law. You can look up my salary. It's a lockstep program. It is public on the internet. I make $225,000 a year. Like you can look it up, right? Honey.
Yeah. And I was gonna say it's not even I wouldn't even say it's a pretentious thing. It's like for me, it's like I spent so much money, much time.
To law school.
I went to law
it's
school.
Not
it's like I'm not about to sit up here and be like, oh, like yeah, I'm gonna be making no. I want to be making as much money as I can within reason, because again, it's like I don't want to work in big law because like that's not my vibe.
Yeah.
But it's like even within 10 years, I should because I don't make 200,000 yet, but it's like within the next 5 years, I should definitely be making 200,000, because also it's like I have no problem leaving a job.
Right.
Although I love my job now. If anyone's watching, I really do. I love my job.
To be clear. Okay, I have a question for you guys. So I know that I lived a very like privileged life. And so one of the core and probably like the reason I am the way I am now is because I remember on the weekends like going shopping with my mom and she's like, "Ooh, this purse is cute." And then she just buys the purse. And now I know that there was like this movement, if you will, on social media about like Black women in luxury.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot of debate about it. Like, is it just overconsumption, like turning elitist classes type of thing? Or is it like, no, Black women can pursue these things and they should be seen in these things and seen in this light? And I think for me, it's like I kind of always saw Black women in that light. But do you guys have an opinion on, I don't know if it's like a move, but you know, the Black women in luxury.
Yeah, Black luxury.
Yeah.
I think it's insane for people to have looked at Black people, Black women or whatever, and be like, oh yeah, you're buying these things. You want to be white. You want to be elitist. You think you're better. Why Black people are participating in the same thing that every other person participates in. I don't think there's anything wrong with spending your money on luxury items if that's what you enjoy, a bag, clothing, things like that.
Cars.
I think I don't remember who had said it, maybe Willie, but like there is a financial responsibility. You shouldn't buy things to like keep up with the Joneses, which I feel like there are people who absolutely do that.
Yeah.
You don't want to be, you know, all your money is tied up in like your credit card because like you're spending your money, but you actually don't have that money.
Yeah.
But there's absolutely nothing. Black people, of course, should be able to purchase luxury items and enjoy those items. And when you look at them, you shouldn't be jealous. You should be like, how do I get like them? Like, you're a fucking weirdo for thinking Black people can't or shouldn't participate.
Yeah, like why aren't we allowed? Also, like why aren't we allowed to overconsume? Like why like you know, like why is there such restriction placed on? First of all, the Black dollar is very strong, and so like what we choose to spend our money on, honestly, is nobody's business. And I definitely was like aware of like the whole movement of like Black women in luxury and like the soft life, and I think that it's like honestly it's a very powerful like protest. It's like we can have these things, and it's very easy for us to attain these things, and like
No, I was going to say, I agree. And even when I was younger, I always knew that I wanted a life of luxury and I wanted nice things. And it was partly because like my mom, who I spent most of my time with growing up, she was always very, I don't want to say put together because that's not even the word, but like she was always like, just like, I always saw her as a luxurious person. So I was like, oh, like that's what I am going to be as well. But even like my older cousins and everything, like I would see them, you know, in their careers and they're, you know, traveling and they're getting like, you know, new cars and this and that. And I'm like, oh, like that's going to be me. So it's like, I always had that mindset. So for me, it wasn't even like a thought of, oh, black luxury, this and that. I was like, oh, that's just how
That's
it's
just
going to
what
be.
it was.
That's
Yeah.
just what it was. Yeah.
And I really quickly do want to sort of drill down a little bit into what you said, because I think a lot of the pushback from like Black women in luxury and that whole movement is coming from a place of jealousy, because a lot of times non-Black people, when they see Black people who have more than they do, they will
gets
instantly think, how did you get
It gets
that?
very weird.
And I do not have that. And it is a very like, you know, like it drums up like a lot of negative emotions in a lot of people, because they're like, how dare you have nice things and look at my life. My life isn't that good. Yeah. You must have done something. You must be, you know, you must be lying. You must be cheating.
Or it must be fake. Which I think is crazy.
I remember.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I remember this happened to me in college, but then it also happened to my older brother. We went to different universities, but there's at both of our universities there were programs for like first generation Black students, and like we are not first generation. But I remember people would always assume, especially our first year, they were like, oh, I can't remember what the name of it at UF, but it was like, you're part of this, so you need to, you know, make sure this, and I would have to constantly tell people like, I don't know anything about that. So like, and it wasn't like a oh shady thing. It's like, well, no, I'm not first generation, so it's like I don't know about these programs. So it's like I don't need to be doing that. It's like I don't need to go to this or that. But it's like I was like, oh, and it's like, well, yeah, it's like, yeah, like not every Black person is first generation. When they're going to college, not every Black person, you know, grew up in the sticks and, you know, in the projects and whatnot. So I think that when they have that mindset of like, oh, Black people are poor, and then they see Black people that are not poor, it's like something in their mind just cannot.
They cognitive dissonance.
They can't even contend with it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I have two quick things. The first thing was in relation to what Jelani was saying, or Alliyah was saying, but I remember in high school when we were, did you guys play like Assassin or whatever with the water guns, and it's like you're a senior assassin?
No.
Where you like, it's like the end of the year senior game, water guns, you get a target, you have to go find them. It's like a month-long thing. So everyone's playing, and it was this experience makes me laugh every time I'm thinking about it, but the person who had to get me was some like white jock kid in my school, like a football player. And he found like my neighborhood and my address. He didn't believe that I lived in that neighborhood or in that house. So he was like apparently patrolling like around the neighborhood, and he was just so like, he wouldn't accept that like this girl, because in high school I was very just like, I'm just living my life. I didn't really do anything or like anything specific for people to know about me. But like he refused to accept that I lived in this specific neighborhood. And even when he saw me pull in to my driveway, my dad was in the driveway as well. He knows it's me. He drove away because he just didn't.
That's crazy.
That makes my heart flutter, especially being to your house and thinking about this white dude like roll up and be like, this house? Oh, she can't live there.
He refused to believe that's where I was like, I don't know what else to tell you, but you just lost your opportunity to like, you know, eliminate me because you couldn't accept that, a Black person, and there's only about 4 Black families in my entire neighborhood, but a Black person lives in this house. And then the other thing I wanted to say in relation to
they assume that Black people are just poor, period.
They assume Black people are poor. I was talking to this non-Black man one time, and he had made a statement that like made me lose my mind. He had said, well, you know, Black people, you know, Black people come from struggle. So when you see them getting to be, you know, we were talking about like rappers or something. When you see them getting to be whatever, it's like super amazing because, you know, the Black experience. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean by that? Like, legitimately, what do you mean by that? Because this assumption that every single Black person comes from struggle, comes from poor places, like all these things where you're putting this generalization on the entire Black community made me
But I
feel so
find
like,
that's what they think.
and it made like I couldn't like how you said they couldn't comprehend like some Black families are not poor.
Yeah.
Obviously, there is a wealth like disparity in our country, and a lot of Black families are put below the poverty line. But to assume every Black person comes from that specific experience, just like, I don't know, nullifies the like what the entire Black experience could actually be, because we all come from so many different backgrounds. And so yeah, that comment was just so insane to me. But he said it completely like genuinely,
And
like
they
he
think
wasn't even
they're
trying to be
being
like
so woke.
He's like,
Recognizing like, baby, I don't know that lifestyle.
Whatever you got going on.
Ever put that statement and me in the same sentence?
I
Ever.
would never
like,
describe myself as coming from struggle.
No.
Like, I don't think like
Please.
no, like that again. It's like not like we had so much money. But I'm like, I don't think.
But I never wanted.
Never wanted. Yeah.
Like,
Kind of going off of that, what do you guys think about when we see like celebrities that, you know, they have a lot of money and everything, but they're like, oh, when
they're like, oh, I'm not gonna give my kids.
yeah, I'm not gonna give my kids this, or they need to learn the value of $1, or I'm not gonna leave. Like, what's his name? The one that with the
Shannon
white girl?
Sharp?
Yeah.
Well, first of all,
I think it's so
interesting.
ridiculous. First of all, especially as Black people, you should be doing your best to set up your kids if you choose to have
Absolutely.
them
Yeah.
for success. Like even now, I know my parents have done certain things, opened certain accounts for me and my siblings, and I'm like, damn, I hope to be able to do that if I have children one day. But I think this whole idea, like you need to learn the value of $1, you can teach your kids that without making them have to work or struggle
Suffer,
for it.
yeah.
Especially if you have millions upon millions upon millions of dollars.
Like-
And then the case of Shannon Sharp messing with these white, you gave her half of your net worth. Like, what are you talking about? Your children
Shannon
have to
Sharp.
struggle, but you gave this white girl like $50 million?
Yeah.
Please.
you know what he is?
A coon.
A loser.
loser.
Just like Sydney Sweeney. Just like Sydney Sweeney. Anyway, and the Kardashians.
I'm screaming. So yeah, it's crazy to me when people just assume anything about Black people.
Yeah.
But specifically that we're all poor. We live in the projects. We grew up stealing and shit
Yeah,
like that. Like
wow.
that was not my life.
No, I mean, well,
Like, that was not my life.
I would say, like, going back to your question about like children, like I have made it so clear that my wealth is not being passed down to non-Black people. And the reason for that is because of my strong views on Black wealth in general and how we need to set up the next generation. So like I have come up with a whole system of, ways in which my wealth is going to be distributed, once I leave this earth. And I have definitely, I need to have a more formal conversation with my siblings about it, but essentially tell them like, you need to know, like, I'm probably not going to have children. So like anything that I make is going to be given down to the siblings. Is like, you kind of need to tell them that like, if all the Black is diluted out
like, this is
of the
conditional.
family, the money is gone. Like, I'm so serious. Like as soon as like that, like it's going to a charity and it's going to like going to like Black
I don't
scholarships
think you're
or
wrong for
anything.
that.
It's like,
I agree.
You're
Yeah.
not. You're not.
No, you're not wrong. Because I think I one day hope to have a child, but it's not like something that I'm like, I'm going to have, because obviously it's expensive to obtain a child as a gay man.
mm-hmm.
But with that being said, if I didn't, I know like my younger sister, she, wants to have kids or a child. I have my older brother who has kids and everything like that. So it's like, I definitely think about that stuff where it's like, I want to be able to pass it down, to like the next generation and everything. So it's like, when I do think about, amassing, wealth or like, getting financially stable. Yes, it is because I want to enjoy my life, but I want to make sure that my descendants, if you will, they don't have to worry about some of the things that I had to worry about. They don't have to worry about how am I going to pay for college, or I can't afford rent at this,
or buying a home, just like any of the simple things that I feel like I have seen like growing up, like a lot of my other, non-Black friends have had ticket. Like I know people who like when their parents go, they're getting millions of dollars, and it's because they've like made very smart decisions in their youth and like been very, strategic about how they distribute their wealth. And so I feel like honestly, it's like as soon as that we get down to the octoroons and the, like if you're having to show a photo of like my great grandpa,
nobody is ever pulling up a picture of me like my great
not.
No. Okay, so we've talked a lot about financial literacy and income and all of that. So we want to do something a little fun to end the episode on. So
a little bit lighter.
Yes. So we're introducing a segment called Should Have Stayed in the Group Chat, where basically one or more of us bring something that we've seen on TikTok, Twitter, whatever it may be, that's like, girl, you should have just kept that in the group chat. Like the internet does not need to see it. Jelani, I think we both have one. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Yeah. So my first one, and I'm not going to name this creator, but on TikTok, I feel like it has become very prevalent for white gays to post shirtless photos of themselves and insinuate that they have gotten bigger or like have gained some sort of weight, and then you look back into like their previous photos and they look the exact same. And I feel like the problem is that it's like, well, first of all, girl, that should have just stayed in the group chat. You are fishing for compliments. You're thin. You've always been thin. Your abs are still clearly defined. What are you talking about?
Like
oh my God, I wish I still looked like this.
It's like
you do
have the, I want to say ideal. You have what within the gay community specifically is thought to be you fit the beauty
the
standard.
pinnacle
like
body.
You have the abs, the pecs, the muscles, the face structure and everything. It's like, again, you're just fishing for compliments.
No one likes anyone who's always looking for
exactly. And I think specifically, it's very hard to explain to people that are outside of gay social media because it probably sounds like we're
haters.
We're haters. No, you guys do not understand. These people are like so insufferable.
I was literally going to say the word insufferable.
It's like, oh my God, girl. And then
I want to cyberbully.
Yeah,
like,
and then some people do cyberbully. Like they'll be. I see it a lot on Twitter where it's like, some guy who, shirtless, abs, whatever. And, he'll be like, oh, I'm so big. I need to get back to my summer body. And then the comments are like, yeah, you fatty.
Yeah, they're like, that's
like, oh, you're so obese.
Like,
I
will tell you.
I'm like, okay.
And then say yours really quick.
Okay, my thing is also a gay man. I don't know if you guys seen him, but he's like this black gay who was going through McDonald's and he got light ice. And it's like immediately he just like starts, oh, I said light ice and boom, 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 and all this. I'm like, you look fucking stupid. You look ridiculous. And I think
that video was insane.
It is the baddies effect. Everybody thinks they're on baddies. Everybody thinks they're fine. It's like you're beefing with, and it's like, it was like this older lady.
And she closed the window. Yeah, like he was talking to himself.
It was just so embarrassing. But now he's selling merch.
Right.
Of course.
And why are you beefing with fast food employees?
Yeah, I don't
like that's just
anybody
so like uncouth.
Classless. It's so classless. Like you look a mess. But
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it for the 7th episode.
Woo! Finances.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.